thing I like about these Harbor Freight ones is that no matter how many times you zero them, they always are off by a few hundredths of a millimeter. I just got this in the mail about a week ago, and I've been waiting until I had a chance to open it on, my goodness, on camera. And very excited for this, a new addition to my everyday carry. Before I crack it open, let's take a quick look at it. This is from Eiger Tool. It is a pocket caliper. It is about credit card size. It's got a Vernier scale reading to 1/20th of a millimeter, so 0.05, I believe. And made in Japan. The only one I've seen that kind of is actually pocket friendly. Now, this is not going to be the same as the tools that I use on a daily basis to design products, but I also use this Harbor Freight set, which is not super accurate, not the most reliable tool. So I think this is going to be just fine for getting those general measurements and roughing in some dimensions if I'm trying to design on the go. And I just think it's a cool thing and kind of representative of what I've been doing a lot lately. There's a few things on the back here. I don't know if you're able to see that through the glare, but so you obviously can measure exterior, interior dimensions. There's a notch on the back side that I think it adds 5 centimeters to the scale. So if you measure from that notch to the tooth, you get a larger reading. Let's see. It's got depth gauge. It's got an edge gauge, like a normal, when you measure from this portion of the caliper to this portion. Yeah. So it's got that. Well, one thing that's nice is it's actually got very thin. I mean, this is a sheet of metal. It's got very thin teeth, so it almost, thinner than a standard pair of calipers like that. And then, narrow clearances. That's the last. I think that's it. Oh, and can measure the length of an arc. I think that implies that this is flexible enough that you can wrap it, here's maybe we'll try this later, but here's a big round device, and you can fold it across the length of it or bend it across the circumference of it to measure that up. Let's get that knife back out. Gotta find my thumb bars for this. Okay, I've been playing around with this for a little bit, and I'm not sure at what point my head got in frame, so I'm going to backtrack just a touch. I did get this from Amazon Japan. I'll try and put a link down below if I can find it. It arrived safely, but it wasn't the greatest shipping experience. The box was completely torn open, and I was honestly surprised it didn't slide out. But man, this thing is neat. So I said before, it's got the Vernier scale. If I were to take something like the tip of this punch, and then, you look at the zero, there's other videos on how to read Vernier scales, but if you look at the zero, that comes just past the 3 millimeter. And last time I checked this, it was roughly 3.05 millimeters, something like that. And if I check that against my digitals, 2.95. 3.03, depending on how much of it I catch. So it's definitely accurate enough to do some work. You've got that internal measurement as well. And then you can see it's kind of sprung out here, which is interesting. I assume that's intentional so that you can use, for instance, you can slide that pin into something. Although that seems maybe it just got bent in shipping. I'm not 100% sure because it'd be hard to spring this back. I guess you could do this though. Yeah, that's interesting because that does, there's all sorts of nuances to this. I'm sure I don't know them all. One other thing I saw was whoops, it's got a notch in the back. I think it's this notch here. And you can measure from that to your internal or your external calipers. So if I were to, this is going to be a little rough just because I'm not going to take all the time that I might in person. But if we were to measure the length of that, you're effectively adding 5 millimeters to that measurement, or 5 centimeters, excuse me. You can, check that here. It's going to be 45. Yeah, it's going to be just about 5 centimeters. So then it's going to give you a rough guide back here. Here's a 5 centimeter rule. And if you flip it over, and I moved it, but that's okay. If I were to flip this over, look at my 0, I'm reading, you've got the 3 here, but then you've also got the 8 in a square. So that tells you you're reading off that notch. So if I were at 85 millimeters, and then some little more on the Vernier scale, looks like 85 point, it's 4/20, so 1/5, so 0.2. I got it. I think that's right. I'm gonna embarrass myself on the internet. What else is new? But yeah, it's a really interesting caliper. I did try it in the wallet. This is my MagSafe wallet. I would be kind of careful how you put it in, what direction, so that you're not damaging your cards, because there are a couple bits on the front that are a little grippy. So I'd probably put it in just like that. And then if I wanted to, I could slide my cards in there as well. And something like this, it's got a pretty hard back. You're not going to destroy that. Obviously your wallet may vary, but this is just what I've been carrying. I think I'm gonna keep that in my wallet for a little while, just to play around with it. Sorry about that. Had a spam call come in, of course, in the middle of recording. But anyway, this is a set of Pittsburgh calipers from Harbor Freight. This is what I keep in the shop. If a customer needs to know, what's the pivot size of the Leatherman rebar, I can give them that information. With it in a reasonable degree of accuracy. They're not perfect. They're not what I would recommend for, design work and stuff like that, but they're going to get the job done for most kind of day-to-day measurements. That's kind of where I see this, although even probably less likely to be used. But it's nice to have it on hand. You're going to have issues with reading certain things. These jaws are going to get kind of out of alignment. You're going to end up with sine error or cosine error, or what's that called? Cosine error? I think it's cosine error. You're going to end up with errors is the point. And so you're not going to read this and assume that it's 100% correct, but it is, I think, a fun piece of kit. It's something that I'm excited to add to my EDC and just kind of carry around with me. So if you guys want to grab something, one of these, I'm going to put a link down in the description to Amazon or Amazon Japan, whichever I can find. And yeah, I don't, you kind of got my first initial thoughts. I can't say I definitely recommend it, but it's a cool piece of kit. So if you're not relying on it for anything, perfectly accurate, I think you're going to be pretty pleased with it. So we'll catch you in the next video. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you then. I can't believe I freaking doxed myself again.